And I'm Amber Ashley.
And today we have a great topic, and it's going to take up the whole 2 hours. So before we get there, let's shout out, first of all, the network that made these wonderful 10 episodes possible, Pregame Radio Network. You're going to catch all of our shows on pregameradio.net. Live stream them while they're on, catch up on episodes if you missed one. Get to know all of your hosts and all of our staff on there, so check out the website, please, if you have not yet. Sponsors, we're talking to someone right with ME Productions. You're going to check that out on the social media. Email at kmtv@gmail.com. PKNY, you're going to check out their apparel at PKNY.com. Check out
Use the photo.
promo code PREGAME if you wish for 20% off your purchase. Last but certainly not least, I know you're going to check out with promo code PREGAME for 15% off your order.
Okay, guys, so in honor of our 10th episode, I think we're going to talk about like the mamas of all topics. You've seen the promos. It's basically what is the state of our union, in particular between black men and black women. So we want to look at this from all facets, right? We can look at this romantically, but let's look at this more as a people, right? How are we relating to each other and supporting each other economically, spiritually, socially, activism-wise, politically, like all these major components and factors that affect our presence and our life here on Earth. Like, how are we supporting each other? So, one thing I wanted to do before we began is I wanted to introduce our two guests. We have Sharon Cooks and we have Les Dow here tonight. So I'm going to have Sharon introduce herself first, say a short blurb about yourself, what's going on, and then Les, you'll go.
Hi, I'm Sharon. Thank you guys for having me on your show again. I was on the show a couple weeks ago and it was an amazing experience. You guys, I'm a consultant. I own my own consulting firm. It's called Making Our Lives Easier. You can go LLC. You can go to my website, makingourliveseasier.org, or you can go to my personal profile website, which is SharonCooks.com. So, yeah.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Thank you so much for coming back.
Right.
Thank you so much, Mimi. I'm so excited, and it's such a great topic for tonight. And we're also live streaming from my Facebook page, so it's going to be a really, really great show. It's going to be really hot.
Awesome.
So-
Okay. Now our next guest. Go ahead. Take the floor.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Les Dow. I'm just a regular black dude with an opinion. So, listen. A Tribe Called Les on Instagram and Les Dow on Facebook. Look me up. Follow me. You'll see what I'm about.
There you go.
Okay, we love the regular black dude.
Regular black dude.
As opposed to exceptional. Oh, we're going to get into that, though.
Who's to say a regular black dude isn't exceptional?
I think a regular,
Boom!
I think
Boom!
a regular black dude is extremely exceptional, especially if they're alive. So
Agreed.
I think part of being a regular black dude is a little bit of humility.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit. But that's all right.
I would say so. So we have an awesome panel and guests for you guys tonight. But, Mimi, you ready to get into this topic? But before we do, Do we have anything else, any other business to take care of?
No, we're good. The next one of them will be taken care of after the break. So.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so then let's get into this topic. So, as you guys know, I-95 Live, we really like to do all these fun promotions and, you know, social media flyers and images. And something I noticed in preparing for this week as I was looking for images was my typing, right? So I go to Google and I type in something as simple as black men and black women together. Funny. Couldn't really find any pictures of us together in a group. Really, the only pictures that they gave me were of us either in a romantic relationship or arena or scenario, or we were fighting or ignoring each other. And then that was maybe 6 pictures. And then what they sprinkled in, even before I could see all the pictures of just black people in that, which is what I asked for, it was all these pictures of black men with white women or people who were outside the race, and all these pictures of black women with white men or other people outside the race. It was really amazing. And so Les just sit next to me and like gas me.
What are you doing on that phone over there?
I am currently Googling what she said.
And I'm
the
not
results,
lying.
The results are hilarious.
And the results are hilarious.
And scary.
And I'm not lying.
And she is not exaggerating.
I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. It's like maybe 6 or 7 pictures where it's all black men and women, which is what I asked for. And then everything else is what I said. So, number one, I took away from that we're either fucking or fighting. There's no in between. We don't relate to each other platonically according to mainstream images and articles, okay? 2, if we are... Yeah, right? We're just so base and animalistic, right? So, and then 2, like, the only way we're happy... If it's not fucking or fighting each other, it's when we are serene and happy with people outside of the race. So needless to say, for me, that was disturbing because that was a mainstream view, and that's not something that I personally feel or experience. But now that I've voiced what I've seen and borne witness to, I would like to expand the topic.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it with our panel, because I've set it up. So, on a more general topic, where do you think we're at? What is the state of our union? Who would like to go first?
Well, I think the state of our union between black men and black women, to be completely honest, like I always am, I think it definitely needs work. I think I was having this conversation with Amber prior to us going live, and it seems as though that there are, people out there that actually build entire platforms on hating and dogging out black women, and that's extremely problematic. And what I would like to see, and a lot of times it is black men who have these platforms, and what I would like to actually have happen is for black men and black women to actually open up the lines of communication, and for black men to step up, not a lot of black men to step up, because I would also like to acknowledge that we do have a lot of black men that are taking care of their responsibilities, that we do have a lot of black men that are advocating for black women and advocating for young girls. So I want that to be acknowledged. We do have a lot of black men that are in committed, loving relationships. So I want that to be acknowledged as well. However, we do have this epidemic of black men building platforms on the hate for black women and promoting dating outside of the race. So earlier today, I had someone, when I posted on my Facebook page, I did a little live, and They said that they did not like black men whatsoever. So hopefully
Oh my
when we
God.
have our call-in session,
Like, I think it went to the extent of like should they die?
yeah, they should die. So hopefully during
don't
when we
want
have
to
our
die.
call-in session, we can hear from this person. So they're on my Facebook page, but I think that black men and women, I think that there is a lot that we have to work on between our relationships, and not relationships just in the romantic way like Amber was mentioning when she did her Google search. I find when I have conversations with black men, you want people to respect your black mother. You want people to respect your black wife. You want people to respect your black women family members. However, what about the black woman neighbor? What about the older black woman that lives across the street? What about the black woman that's the stripper? So when we don't have these personal relationships, it seems as though that like a lot of black men, if they don't have a personal relationship with a black woman, then they don't feel like that they have to defend her, or it's their obligation to defend her. So I personally believe that in the black community, there is a certain level of respect that black men should give black women, and vice versa. It's not a black man thing. It's not a black woman thing. It is a black community thing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it is white supremacy that has conditioned us to be untied. It's white supremacy that has conditioned us to be ununited. And I think that we have to be very aware of that and very cognizant of that. And we also have to, and Amber and I was talking about this earlier, we have to be very aware that psychologically and emotionally we have been studied by white supremacists and racists. And white supremacists and racists use the self-hate of black people against them.
That's why Google is set up the way it is.
Exactly. So, I want to make it, go ahead.
We're also divided along with diaspora. You know what I'm saying? I saw a post, I want to say 2 days ago, that was all about West Indian and African people and why they won't date American women.
Right, apparently we're lazy. But guess who don't care when you get here? The white man don't care. The Asians don't care. The Hispanic, even Hispanics who don't realize they're black don't care.
Right.
So,
We're all just black to them.
you're all black.
At the end of the day, you're infighting.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, for no reason.
Exactly.
And I respect you for your differences.
And if I could chime in,
Yeah,
Please do.
Please.
going off what you were saying, I believe you can expound that a little bit. Like, I feel like we are in love with the idea of one another, black men and black women, and not the reality of it. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah.
I feel like we get caught up a little bit. We're in love with the idea of what a black man could be. That's what black women are in love with, right? We're in love with the idea of what a black woman is in the perception of black men, right? And we get caught up in that. And who gets left out in that ideology is the reality, right? Like, everyone else falls by the wayside.
Right.
So it's, for black women, it's unmet expectations, and for black men, it's this this idea of, and in my opinion, in my experience, black men don't feel as valued as they should.
I've heard that.
They don't feel as valued as they should, and that's just going off of the people I know, my experiences. My peers. They don't feel as valued as they should, and I guess my whole theme around this whole thing is we have to, humble ourselves a little bit. Like, everybody has to practice just a small amount of humility. Come down. Everybody's not that important. Like, we all care way too much about ourselves. Like, just a little bit too much. We get caught up in the social media.
Sit down. Be humble.
A little bit. We get caught up, and we think we're really important, and we're really not that important. Like, just come down a little bit, and I don't know. Somebody jump in.
So, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that you have a very valid
Yeah.
point when
That's
you
just
talk about
That's
black
true.
men not feeling valued, and I think that
Just-
works the same way with black women.
Mhm.
I think in the black community in general, all black people, all people that are black, I feel like, and for my white viewers who are on Facebook, don't be in your feelings. This is a black conversation.
This is an in-house conversation. So yeah, just because I know a lot of people are listening. Yeah, I just want to make a disclaimer.
We're talking to the black folks.
If
Go
you
ahead with the
do
disclaimer.
it's not even a disclaimer. I shouldn't have to. It's my show and it's Mimi and I's show. But at the end of the day, like, the premise of this show is to have an in-house conversation. So an in-house conversation means amongst the family. And if you understand what family is, it's in the family, La Familia, whoever I call family. For the purposes of this show, my family, okay, are people who identify like me. You don't have to look exactly like me, but if you're black in that identity, you are with me. Now, if you don't identify, you're not my enemy, you're just not in my family right now. You can be a friend of the show and you can listen, but it is not about you right now. So calm down. Okay? Now, let's go back.
So I think just in general, I think when it comes to the black community, I think, you know, the black community in general, all black people don't necessarily feel valued by society because of the history of racism. And I think that we should focus a lot more on valuing first we have to learn to value ourselves. And then we have to learn to value each other. And I think once we learn to value ourselves and value each other, then we can engage in each other in not only romantic relationships, but platonic relationships, even just in everyday interactions and engagement with a lot more respect than there currently is. So that's kind of sort of my take on it. So I definitely hear this black man that's here saying that he doesn't feel valued.
Well,
and someone also said in the comment section, you know, that black women are constantly saying, you know, I'm not, you know, they use the N-word, but say, you know, black men aren't shit, and, you know, this and this and this. And I will say that I have seen a lot of generalizations about black men. And, you know, from my experience in particular, I am with a double degree black man. So when people turn around and say that black men are this and black men are that, that does not fit my boyfriend.
No.
So
Does not fit my father.
Exactly. So for me, it's problematic to say, I know I can say the word, but I just prefer not to say that word because I prefer not to say the N-word like that. Yes, we are.
Come on.
There we go.
I prefer not to say that word because people feel like other people who are outside of our race, people who are outside of our race feel like they can use that word and they feel like they can come to the cookout because they're familiar. So because people think that they can come to the cookout and they're familiar and they're down, I just want to share a little experience. So you know where I'm going.
No!
So last weekend, we were leaving the Vesper Day Spa. Amber had threw a lovely little New York come down, and it was great. And we were in an Uber. So we had a very friendly, you know, Uber driver, and he was really, really great.
He was white.
He was white, and I think that he got a little too familiar because, you know, once we got in and we started talking, you know, the music started change. She started to, you know, bring on this kind of like aura of, I guess, blackness, you could say.
Got very relaxed.
Right. So he got very relaxed with us. So it was like I kept turning around to my friend and I'm like, he thinks he's cool, and he is cool, and that's fine. But he can't come to the cookout. Like, and
I was
that's
so drunk and hungry.
Right. And I think that that's what people need to realize is that sometimes there are a lot of conversations, and white people do this too, okay? See, white people, Asian people, Indian people, it seems like all other races and groups of people have these conversations amongst themselves behind closed doors, and they take care of their business and their order of business as they see fit. However, it also feels like, we don't take the time as Black people to come together in a community and to have these difficult conversations about how we can improve relations between Black men, Black women, Black people, the Black community in general.
Can I say one thing?
Of course.
I just want to say one thing.
Go ahead.
There is no cookout. I'm sorry. I just want to put that out there. White people, if you were interested in a cookout, if you tried to RSVP.
It's a figure of speech, Les.
Listen, I get it. If you were trying to RSVP, there's no cookout. Nobody's gonna be there.
Hungry.
Nobody's gonna be there. I'm just letting you know. There's no cookout.
Like Will Smith in the living room.
I don't like invites to the cookout. There's no cookout. Just throwing that out there.
People stop handing out invites.
Yeah.
No.
I appreciate that. No vouchers.
Listen, you know what?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes if some of these white people use a slang word or they have a little bit of swag, people are handing out memberships talking about come to the cookout, and I'm like, no.
These man.
Right. Just because Becky can twerk.
Well, I think that just goes back to the idea of what we have to stand for in Blackness. And, yes, we have a culture, but, people think they're Black when they do things that are uneducated. People think they're Black when they can't sit still.
Come
People
on,
think
Amber.
they're
Come
Black
on with it.
when they don't say hard R's and do A's. That's when all of a sudden you think you're Black. And I'm going to tell you now, that doesn't make you Black.
Thanks.
What makes you Black is your experience. What makes you Black is your acknowledgement. Your acknowledging and conscientious, experience of being part of the diaspora. That's what makes you Black in this country. And it does not matter that, because guess what? My little cracker friend. Okay? Because I'm going there. I'm going there.
Oh my God! I'm gonna get Facebook blocked for hate speech because she used the word crack.
Guess what? I used an A. I said it as a Black person. It's cool. So, guess what, friend? Just because you know a few lyrics, just because your mom's living in Section 8, just because she smokes weed with Quan down the hall, you are still white. You still have a privilege that is going to be different than me.
Do we still have to do this?
Yes, unfortunately,
do we still? No, at this point.
Oh, we do.
No,
I don't have a friend because of this.
You
are still white. No matter how many Black dicks you sit and spit on.
Oh man, no.
You are still white. It doesn't work by injection. Your kids are Black, you're still white, and you can say, I am a white woman raising Black children. Or
let's not sit here and pretend that there are not a lot of racist white men and a lot of racist white men that like Black pussy and a lot of racist white women that like Black dick. Okay, because that's what
the cuckold genre is for.
There have been tons. There have been tons of videos. Go ahead. Well, I'm sorry, we've been dominated. The Black man is speaking. Go ahead.
I got a couple links I can send you if you want. I'm just saying, in both of those genres. In both of those genres, I got a couple links for you.
Look at what's going on with the McClure twins and how bad he's been talking about Black women online.
But they say it. But people say it because it's a joke to them. It's a joke to them. And they can feel that way, but it's a joke because we're not allowed to have feelings. We're not allowed to have the humanity. And that's why, it goes back to the initial of, I only saw us fucking and fighting. And the only place where we had dimensions of humane activity was with people outside of our race. That's how people actually see you. You could have a really good best friend who's just so happens not to be Black, melanin deficient. You know what I mean? And that's great. And they're still good to you.
But there will be a moment when you and that friend have a realization that they don't see you exactly, and you could be like their family. That's your bestie. They don't see you any other way, but you will still have a moment with that melanin deficient person when you realize, oh wow, you don't even see me all the way.
Right.
Like, you don't see me all the way.
Right. I'm not a whole person to you.
I'm still not a person to you.
They can't.
And that's real, and that's ingrained in you, and you can't help that, and that's how you've been conditioned. And to all my white friends, because there's a large majority of you, and my white family members who are listening, because there are more of you than I have black family members, I get it. But we've been there. Now, my white family members, actually, they're the first person to tell somebody that they're black to stress them out. Because they're different kind of white. You know, they're Sicilian, they're Greek, so they're like about it all the time. They don't have time for this because their attitude is we got other people to hate.
Yeah, still white though.
They're still white, but they got other people to hate. You know, they don't like Albanians.
God bless you.
They don't got like Albanians and stuff.
Sure.
You know, they got real hate.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they got real
I have a
issues.
Sicilian ex.
Okay, that when you start using racist terminology, that is something that I do not tolerate. Not at all, okay? So just like we have this epidemic of white people going around here calling the cops on black people, if you come at me like a racist bigot, I will call the police on you and get them involved.
You know what I mean?
This is getting personal. Let's move forward.
I'm just making a statement, okay, to the white people out there who feel like they can call the black people, to the white people out there that think that they can dehumanize black people. Okay, you cannot do that, and that is not okay.
So I'm gonna
and I also want to say that as people in the black community, let's not allow other people who are outside of our community to take away our humanity.
Right.
Let's not allow them to cause division in between us.
Right.
What we should be doing beyond anything is sticking together, because at the end of the day,
It's just
regardless
us.
of anything, our skin is black and we're going to be treated a certain type of way in this already constructed society.
It's just us.
Yes.
I love the point you just made.
Thank you.
Because white people hate when you take the shit that they created and flip it on them.
Right.
They created
Right.
the construct of race.
They did.
So listen, we have to understand as a people that this is the society we live in. Every other race sticks together. Like literally in any way you want to talk about it. Relationships, financials, anything. They stick together. Speaking of which, the fraud lady from Philly.
Right.
Oh my God, I was devastated.
Are we so quick to bash though?
I haven't commented.
I haven't commented, but are we
commented.
so quick to bash?
No, I'm not quick to bash because shit happens.
Shit happens. Do we know that she had cancer? Did we know that?
I haven't even read the story because I don't want to hear about it.
Cancer. I don't think we knew about the seizures and the stroke that she had.
I don't want to hear
Did we know about that? Did we know that she was given 2 years to live? Did we know about that? Like we're I'm just saying that we are so quick to tear down our own. We're so quick to jump down our own throats and looking at reading the comment section. Obviously, it's a dangerous territory to roam into on Facebook.
I didn't
But
even
reading the comment section, it just it kind of takes a hit to my soul a little bit to see the way we attack each other. Just the
we
way
don't
we
have
attack
the
each other.
right to. We don't have the right to. But before we get into that, Mimi, what's the number to call in, babe?
So anyone who's on my
So call in and join our conversation. You're going to call 347-857-4302. That's the number one to get on the host queue and join the conversation. But we definitely want to hear your voices on what black women and black men need from each other so we can all be great out here. So go ahead, give us a call. We will get to you as you pop up, but we'll allow the guests to go ahead and continue doing their thing until we've got a team calling.
So if anyone who is watching this Facebook Live,
she's doing Facebook.
if you would like to call in to the show and have Mimi or Amber add you as a call-in guest, if you have a statement, you can definitely, the number is
347-857-4302, 347-857-4302, and don't forget to press 1.
And I've also posted it.
So, you know, you guys both make a good point. And now, you know, we're about half an hour through our 2 hours together. And now that we've kind of got a general overview, I want to break it down like we kind of discussed and go into the components of life.
Yes, let's do that.
They're all intertwined, but I want us to be whole people when we leave this show. So, let's talk about money.
Ooh, money. Black people and money. And the relationship between black men and women and money.
So money comes in a lot of things. I know we can talk about education. We can talk about, you know, professional opportunities. We can talk about the actual workplace. We can talk about how people choose to make money if it's not in the traditional professional workplace, etc. And how that plays out. But what if you had to just think the split and how you're perceived, and then how you perceive the other sex, and how you think other people perceive the other sex or gender? What have your experiences or even like vignettes or comments been when it comes to black men v women, or black men and or women with money?
Well, we don't make enough money.
Okay.
I mean, that's the elephant in the room, right? We don't make enough money. I mean, period. I don't know if it's... See, I want to talk about this, though, because there's a show that's going around. I don't know what network is on. I don't know the name of the show, but it's a broke black dude, and it's a light-skinned black chick, and all the ladies love this show. And they're all in love with the dude and his broke ass, and I get it. But I don't know if anyone knows the name of the show. Please call in. Please call in.
What show is this?
Please call in. Listen, I guarantee you, ladies, if you're listening, you'll love it. Because all I know is all my black women friends been like, "That's my life. Why do I want to watch my life on TV?" So all I'm saying is,
My life.
but I know too many women that have said this. So my point is that we don't make enough money. Is it systemic? Because I mean, I've seen stats recently that have said that black men specifically are at the same place they were in 1970 financially. Black women have grown from the place that they've come from in 1970. Mm-hmm. Their wealth has grown from then till now, and black men are stagnant. They're at the same place they were in 1970. So what does that do? Well, honestly, to me, what that says is society's fucked up. Society's fucked up. Who cares who makes what amount of money? Like, society is fucked up. We place way too much importance on monetary value. Way too much importance on monetary value.
I completely agree.
Black men, insecure ass niggas. I say nigga. Sorry. Black men, insecure ass niggas.
I say it too.
Insecure ass niggas. They can't take, like, if you can't get over yourself. That's what I'm talking about. Humble yourselves. If you can't take your lady or your woman making more than you and still feel like a man, you're not a man, my man. Like, you're not a man. You're not secure enough to be a man. You don't deserve to lead a woman anywhere. Another thing, you can lead a woman somewhere if she makes more money than you. You have to have a plan. You have to have direction. You have to be able to take control of your situation. You have to be able to provide your situation, you and her, with direction, a plan, a vision. Something. That's all really women are looking for. From my experience, what I've learned, and black women are looking for is honestly just a little bit of mental stability from you, just a little bit of mental security. Honestly, security, knowing that you got it, like everything's gonna be all right. You know what I mean? If I put the keys in your hands, everything's gonna be all right.
Right.
You know,
That's
so
literally it.
I
And we also talk about the other stigma that's out there, which is completely wrong, but it's been floating around for years, and that's the black men that do make money, they run off with the others. They gotta go get a white woman,
That's
or an
not
Asian
true.
woman,
So
or a light, bright, and almost white.
Well, see, you know what, Mimi? I'm glad that you brought that up. So there's 2 points. One, to Les's point, I think that a lot of black men feel as though, and Ari said this in the comment section, feel as though that there has to be some sort of automatic submission of the woman. And I feel like respect on both ends has to be earned, period. Whether you're in a romantic relationship, whether it's platonic, or whether it's just a civil relationship between, two black people. And I do agree with you, Les, that there are a lot of black men who feel like their manhood is compromised because they can't keep up with the standards of our capitalistic society that has been set by, white society. And I think that, when they feel that type of insecurity, I think that affects the black woman. I think that affects the black children. I think that affects the black community. Sure. And I think that you're absolutely right. We do have to reshift our values, because let's really get into it. When I was taking my jazz class last semester, and I was reading People's Blues by Amiria Baraka, one of the things that he talked about was the vast difference of philosophical ideology between Africans and Europeans. And because of the vast difference of philosophical ideology between Africans and between Europeans is why we have this conflict. It's why we have all these issues. Because we, as Africans, as people from African descent, as people from enslaved Africans, before the infused DNA from the slave owners, but that's a completely different story. Before that, I think that we have to remember that our ideologies, what we know and what we believe as far as our spirituality, as far as what we need emotionally, as far as our music, all of that extends from Africa and Africanisms. So when we start converting all of that to European ways of thinking, we're really playing into white supremacy, perpetrating white supremacy, and then we're further dividing ourselves. If your relationship, and yes, we all know we live in a capitalistic society. Yes, we all know you need money to live. But if you're solely basing, and Amber and I talked about this earlier, if you're solely basing your relationship off how much money your dude makes or how much money your girl makes, your fucking values are fucked up. And if you think that just because you make a certain amount of money, now I have to go out and I gotta go get a white woman, because see, that's what they do. And now I'm getting ready to go in. Let me take a sip from my cup. Come on. Because see, that's what they do, okay? All right, see, what happens is that black women hold black men down when they're on their grind and they're trying to make it. Right. You see that with a lot of NBA players. You see that with a lot of sports players, particularly movie stars and actors. The minute that they start making get that multi-million-dollar contract, the minute they start making those multi-million-dollars, look at them, not Denzel Washington, because he's still married to the same woman. Look at Lionel Richie. He got rid of Brenda, the black brown skin woman, okay, and upgraded to a white woman. So when we see it in rap and hip hop videos, that when a black man starts to make a certain amount of money, what he will do is that he thinks, because of the programming of white supremacy, that it is completely okay and it is a status symbol for him to go out and to get a non-black woman. And if it's a white woman, oh, you are at the top of the food chain now, and you can show her off as a prize. A lot of black men feel like marrying or getting involved with a woman that is non-black is a status symbol, and that gives them more privilege and they're closer to their proximity to whiteness. And that is a myth that we have to dispel.
Don't do it. Look what happened to OJ. Look at what happened to Kanye. No, I'm kidding.
Talk about it, sister. Talk about it, sister.
I'm kidding.
Look what happened to Lamar. Look what happened to Tristan.
I'm kidding.
Real quick.
I'm serious.
Real quick, the show I mentioned earlier is called Love Is.
Oh, everybody loves Love
Is.
Everybody loves this right now.
On Oprah Winfrey.
I haven't watched it.
It's called Love Is. That's the show.
Everybody loves that show. So here's the deal, guys. So something I want to bring up. I'm glad you brought up this dynamic about women making more than men. That has been my experience
for most of my dating life. And even if I wasn't working, I still had something, or I was perceived to have something because of my family.
Mm-hmm.
And because of my education. And so I if you're in my home now, our guests are in my home. I like nice things. I like a nice surrounding. I'm, and maybe it's because I'm a Libra, whatever. But I always try and make things nice. And one thing as a black woman that's really cool is you can make something out of nothing.
Sure.
That's just what you do.
Yep.
So it'll always look like I have something when I don't. And it's not because I'm fronting, it's because that's just what I do and that's what I like. So one thing that I think we're missing too is, this idea of, answer me this, Quest. Answer me this. Do you think, and I've had this thought, do you think black women, this is a very poignant question, do you think black women who are negative in terms of the money issue, right? Or individuals.
Right.
Because I don't have to see black women, it's our show. Do you think individuals who are negative in terms of the money aspect might have to feel that way, or feel that way because they don't want to give an excuse, or they're trying to impress a melanin deficient counterpart, or they don't want to give an excuse to the men in the situation? They don't want to seem like they're giving an excuse. I mean, that's a hard thing to propose, but like, I've heard women say like, well, why doesn't he make as much money as you? And I'll literally say, well, there are statistics. Granted, we always rise above statistics, but it's just a difficult situation. He's doing what he's doing. He's in the industry he's doing, and that's good for his industry. I'm in the industry I'm doing. I'm going to be a doctor, so I'm going to make more. So, like, I'm
going to be a doctor, too. I'm getting my PhD.
Yeah. I'm medical. So, like...
I'm philosophical.
Yeah, so it's a totally
She's going to be an
MD.
MD.
And, like, I'm trying to be a surgeon. Like, it's a totally different world there. So if my boyfriend, partner, whomever wants to play with robots but doesn't code, that's on him. But as long as he's good, he's good. But when I was younger, I was like, maybe I don't even want to say this. Now, I don't give a fuck. I'm just like, this is what it is. This is my man. This is who I'm fucking with. And he's good.
Well, I agree with you,
so
and I think
what do you think that is? What's that mentality?
I think that there are certain social standards that certain people break away from, and I think that you've broken away from that social standard. Like, to me, like, a man has to have ambition, potential, working towards that, and like Les said, have a vision. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times, and I talk about this with a lot of people, it's also twofold. I feel like a woman should also have her own and have something that she's doing.
Yes.
Because what ends up happening is that a lot of times women end up in a codependent relationship with a man. And it's more like a Venn diagram. It's like, you're this circle, I'm this circle, and we kind of cross and we meet in the middle and we have this life in the middle. And I think that is really
what a relationship
should be. I think a lot of times, too often, there are two circles that overlap, and the woman becomes insecure, and she thinks the man is doing this, and she thinks the man is doing that.
It's the woman's whole circle is in the man's, and the man still has a crescent that's outside of her.
Exactly.
And she's just like, I have a whole circle in this bitch.
Exactly.
And dude is like, well, I got a whole crescent outside of you. What the fuck are you doing?
Exactly. And I also think that we have to look at the social systemic things that are designed specifically to hold black men back. Because let's not forget that white men have always had access to black women, however, wherever, and whenever they want. So that's also something that needs to be discussed. And they still do. And when it comes to black men, I think that black women have to recognize a lot of the systemic issues. And I believe that black men have to take accountability for certain things. And I think that that's one of the major issues that we're having in the black community, is that black men don't necessarily want to take accountability for the decisions and the choices that they've made.
Yo, can I second that real quick?
Absolutely.
Because I'm the anti Derek Jackson, right? I'm the anti him. I'm anti for all my people that know who Derek Jackson is. He's a fraud ass man basher that only likes to pander to black women. But all I'm saying is I'm anti him. But I hold black men accountable. That's what me and my friends do. You know what I mean? Los niggas. Shout out to Los niggas. But that's what we do. We
Thank you, because you know what? That's what needs to happen. Black men need to start holding black men accountable, because at the end of the day, you know, black men chill together, they hang together, and if I see what black men need to, what I would like to see is, like, you know, if a black dude is married and he's telling his homeboy that, you know, he's cheating on his wife or he saw this shorty, it's up to the other black man to check him to be like, yo, that's not cool. You stepping out on your wife. Like, if a black man is looking at a 16-year-old girl, it's up to his homie to turn around and check him and be like, yo, you know she's 16 and underage? So I completely agree with you, Les.
You went left right there with the underage girl, but
I'm just saying.
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. Now, I hold them accountable. They hold me accountable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have to check each other.
But
like,
that's a brotherhood. That's like family.
You can't get outside of policing ourselves. Like, we have to police ourselves. I'm not saying that systemic things don't exist. Like, we know they do, and I appreciate you acknowledging that they exist. That's so huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've gotten into
I've
gotten into arguments with black women. Now, I hate arguing with black women because it seems so counterproductive. And you know, when I say arguing, these are my friends I'm talking to, right? But we get into arguments over whether or not black women actually understand the plight of black men. Like, do you really understand? Like, can you grasp not the microaggressions, but the direct aggressions that we deal with on a daily basis? You know what I mean?
Talk about it, brother.
You know what I mean? Like, but you guys deal with those same direct aggressions. I'm not trying to minimize that, but I'm just saying that I just want black women.
You're still a man. It's going to be
exactly
different.
like I want black women to understand what we go through, and also hold us accountable. We're not going to use that as an excuse, because guess what? We all know it exists.
Yeah.
Once you know it exists, stop making that shit an excuse. Stop it. All right. And guess what? I'm not absolved of this whole thing. Like, no. I'm complacent. I'm sorry. I'm complicit in it. Like, I need to. I need to practice what I preach. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God, that's huge. You know, and you know what? But
I do it every day, though.
We're all growing and we're all learning,
right.
and I think that by having these types of conversations, we can grow and we can learn from each other, and it's all right. And see, what I like about Les is that he just allowed himself to be vulnerable, which is something that a lot of black men don't allow themselves to do, and I think that there's strength in vulnerability.
Seek therapy, bro. Seek therapy, my black man, my black brother. Seek therapy, man. Like, yo. Like,
you heard it from a black man.
Your mental stability is key, my bro. Like, your mental stability is so key.
I'm still here. Let me get my charger, you guys.
It's so key. You have to. No. This is highly important in the black male community.
Yeah.
You have to make sure your mental stability. Like, listen, if your friends aren't concerned about your mental stability, they're not your friends, bro. Like, they're not your friends, black bro. I promise you. Like, literally, we do welfare checks on each other.
Right.
If you don't do welfare checks on your bro, if you can't tell your bros you love them without being insecure about that, they're not your bros.
No, and it's the friends that say "I love you" who are the best.
Yes.
Who mean it. In romantic relationships, you have to watch it out and be like, "Love you." No. When people are just like platonic, like, "I love you."
I appreciate so much what you said about platonic relationships, because
like,
speaking to that though, I was having a conversation earlier today with a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't black women, strangers, feel safe in the presence of black men?
Come on now, brother. Talk about it.
They should feel safe. This isn't something.
I do.
Listen, my black female friends need to feel safe in my presence. They need to feel protected in my presence. Period. And it's not. This is on a purely platonic level. And I'm talking about strangers I walk past on the street. You should feel welcomed in my presence. You should feel safe in my presence. We need to be conscious of that as black men. I don't understand why we still have this. Like, I get it. I say a lot of outlandish shit on social media because guess what? Like, I'm more than just one thing, right? Duality.
Right.
Figure it out, right? But at the same time, in the presence of my black sisters, like, guess what? They're going to feel safe. Absolutely, they are going to feel safe, and I don't give a fuck who's around. I don't care who's around. They're
And
going
you know
to
what?
feel safe.
That's been really the opposite of a lot of black women's experience. Like,
Sure.
I understand both experiences. I understand living in a neighborhood and getting to know, like not actually getting to know, but having the black men in my neighborhood see me, and then when I want to go to the Chinese store that's on the corner, you know, they'll hold the door for me, or they'll, you know, make a path for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's them showing respect, even though they don't know me personally, but as a black woman,
You're still a woman.
Exactly, they're showing me respect, and I think that is very important because, like, I'll go back to what I said before. A lot of black men, they feel like, oh, you know, they respect the black women in their family, but when it comes to, like you said, just everyday civil interactions
Safe
with
space.
Exactly.
We should be safe space.
I also know what it's like to walk, you know, and feel like, oh my God, wow, this group of, I know what it's like to feel threatened by a group of black men. I know what it's like to feel
People give you
safe
that vibe.
as you know, in a group of black men. So I think that it is really a conversation that black men have to have with each other about how are we going to make our community safe for the whole entire black community, because let's be honest, like, we live in a patriarchal society.
Right.
We know that black men, when they are employed, they still do make more than women, even though women may be more qualified because it's a man's
It's
world,
true.
and they still
It's
may
true. On
they
average.
still make more on average.
True.
So I think at the end of the day, it really has to do with men holding other men responsible, just like it's women holding other women responsible. And like I tell my girls all the time, if you're fucking taking his car at 2 o'clock in the morning and fucking him, then bitch, that shit is on you, okay? All right, set your fucking standards higher, okay? Don't take that car, okay? Make him take your ass the fuck out. I tell my girls this shit all the time.
WYD is not okay. What
So,
you
yes!
do-
Yes! Oh my God!
I pay more than $3,000 a month in bills. If you text me WYD,
Like,
no.
I'm paying
It's
bills,
over.
damn it.
Yes.
I'm paying bills, damn it. That's what I'm doing.
I love
I'm paying
that
bills.
girl. I love that
Can you
beautiful
talk to me
girl.
about these bills,
Yes,
man?
I love that beautiful
That
girl
ass.
with the hijab, and she's like, you could put something on that if you feel.
Oh, you know
generous,
what?
you
We
can
have
put something on
we
that.
have a comment. So Ken says, you know, in his experience, like, he's not able. You know what? I totally agree with. So
What
he
did Ken
says,
say, real quick?
my experience is not even being able to say hello without some woman treating me like I'm thirsty. So that's another thing. Like, just because.
Well, she's abused and beaten, and don't take her for every man.
Right, but you know what? But see, that goes back what
Keep
Les.
shooting.
That
She's abused.
that goes back to
Because
what
I can
Les.
say hello
Bro.
right back to black men. No
Bro.
problem. Like, hi, how are you?
Right, but this
the
is the
moment
thing.
you talk about my tits or my ass or
Keep
my
shooting,
legs,
player.
then we're gonna go into that. I'm gonna give everybody an opportunity.
Well, I'm gonna be.
Because I got a taser in my
I'm
bag
gonna
and
just
a
say.
gun on
I'm
my
gonna just
hip.
say
I'm
this.
gonna give everybody
Whenever I pass a black guy on the street, like,
I always say
well, you know
hi.
what? It depends, because if he's an older black guy, and you know, I live in West, so like, if it's an older black guy,
Say hi.
I feel like it's a symbol of respect, especially if I have my fro out. You know what I mean?
You're like, hi.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I do also feel like with like a lot of younger black guys, it's like you're saying hello because you're not just saying hello to be respectful, but you're saying hello because you want you're trying to be thirsty. But at the same time, I think that like black women have to understand that like a black man could just be saying hi just because he's acknowledging your blackness.
That
He's
woman's
acknowledging
beaten.
you as respected. And
Sis.
that's it. Like,
Sis.
Yeah.
bitch, every man don't want you to say hi or smile, honey.
I want you.
But as black men, yo, stop
You don't
being.
need to go left unless that's where they turn. Like, I am pleasant to everybody until they're like, so, I'm saying, what you trying to do?
Yeah,
Like,
I will say hello. I'm respectful. I don't care.
But if you just say hello to me in the street, hey, how's it going? You can even get a smile, and I don't do that often.
Black men, real quick. Stop being so sensitive when every time a woman turn you down, bro. Like, yo, just take that on the chin. And guess what? Keep shooting, baby. Like, listen, I stay in the gym. You know, you just keep shooting.
Look at those arms. Look at those arms. Look at those arms.
They are. Just keep shooting. Keep shooting. Like seriously, don't get caught up. Don't take it personal.
Right.
She's not interested, bro. Guess what? Move on. Respect her and move on, please. Don't get caught up.
Yeah, all of a sudden you know you're a bitch anyway. You
Come
know
on.
me.
That's weak.
That's what I
That's
always
weak.
say. How
That
did
shit
you
is
know?
weak, man. That shit is weak.
How did you know?
Now you
Sweet.
know nobody wants your fat ass. No way.
Yeah.
That's weak, man. That's weak.
I'm like, my 2 ex-fiancés like this fat ass just fine. This $80,000 engagement ring said so.
Keep shooting, baby.
Yes, Ken, we know you stay in the gym. I seen your profile pics, and I know,
Ken.
and I know you're married too. Okay.
Oh, I can.
You just killed it. You just killed.
But all right.
Things are going really well. We gotta cut it for right now because we're gonna take a quick break. Come back in a couple minutes after these 2 lovely songs. But don't forget, pregameradio.net or call in 347-857-1302 and press number 1 to get in the whole queue. We got Love People Slander Sundays at 1 p.m. Sun Punch Fest is Monday at 9 a.m. The Real List radio show is on vacation, but you know, you can still catch up on all of our shows. As I said, on pregameradio.net.
Oh, sorry, Ken.
All right, babe.
So this is the part where we have the brief intermission, and this is where we have the brief intermission, and Mimi plays some selections that were pre-chosen.
Yes, we're playing Erykah Badu right now. You got me. And then we're going to play some Earth, Wind, and Fire, which I selected because I'm happy.
Ah! Earth, Wind, and Fire is like my mom's favorite group. Oh, I'm sorry, Ken. I've never been married. I thought you were in a relationship. I'm sorry.
Ken's like, don't fuck up my
You have 2
flow.
children.
Don't fuck up Ken's flow.
I'm not fucking up your flow. Okay, Ken's not married. I want to retract that statement.
So, ladies.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We are on a brief intermission right now. So if you're listening from your telephones or you're listening from your computers,
609-1603.
we're going to be taking calls on the second half, so you guys can definitely call in.
347-857-4302.
Yes, I've posted it on my Facebook.
Press 1. Press 1.
This is our amazing host and my amazing friend. And this is our other amazing panelist.
You
we're back over here.
Yes.
You have so many lovers.
Yes.
Appreciate it. It's love. It's always
You have so
appreciated.
many lovers.
This is my friend's friend, okay? So I can't hook you up. I don't know what's going on, but you can hit Amber Ashley Parker up, and she might be able to give you a love connection.
I'll do it for the culture.
For the culture.
But this isn't a man of independence, so
Yes.
he will decide.
Exactly.
Okay, I just did
Oh, I'm sorry, Janice. Well, we're just taking a brief intermission, and we're taking a brief intermission, playing some music, and we're going to be back. I'm going to refill my glass and run to the little girl's room. So I'm going to sit my phone down. I know. I think we normally, yes, we're having, look at this setup that my friend has over here. Look at that.
So we're getting through it.
So, we're over here, you want to hear the music?
Lisa.
All right,
Aunt
Aunt Lisa.
Breast
Shout
cancer
out to
sucks. We love you.
Exactly. So I'm going to sit the phone down. I'm going to let you guys listen to the music and while I refresh my glasses, okay?
Oh, yes, Earth, Wind, and Fire is a good choice. Where do you got tangled up?
falling in love like all at once. Listening
Thank
to
you so much.
friends. You didn't know that I would turn on.
Oh, I knew you would.
Okay.
Oh, I knew you would. But I was just like,
Like hoping,
great.
like please.
no, I knew you would.
Please.
That's why I invited you. I was like, Les can do this.
Yeah, no, seriously. Nah, have you heard my previous stuff? Like, have you heard any podcasts I did? I did some sports.
And I wanted
I got a
to.
lot of sports shit. That's
So I was like, it was TSE, right?
TSE.
Okay.
Right.
I wanted to.
And we did some alright stuff. Like it was like 35 podcasts, but it was like I was only on like maybe 8 of them. No, I was on like 6 of them.
Okay.
And it was like I was on there really for sports, but then they would bring me on. They would keep me on. They would be
They
like,
have
"You want to
other
stay for like?"
topics
Yeah,
that
they have
come
other
through.
topics. Yeah, you want to stay? I'm like, "Yeah, I'll stay." Like, and then I would, do my input.
I figured you have that kind of personality from my interaction. And I'm like, how do we have
Yeah.
And then I was trying to remember as I'm getting ready to invite you, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
how do I know this person?
How are we friends? I don't
How do I
even
know
know. I don't even know. Can I look this up real quick?
Yeah, because
How
we
are
have
friends?
crazy mutual friends like Joe Rivera,
Yo, wait, Joe?
Joe. So I went to UPenn, like during that
Okay.
period. I graduated from there.
So when did you graduate?
2010/2011.
So you were.
I took a
there
year
like
off.
07.
So I was
You
new
were
in
there
2006. I was there in 06.
You were there in 06?
Mm-hmm.
I was throwing parties at Drexel.
That's probably how.
I threw basically I was
I
behind
was a
every party that happened. I threw it. It was pretty.
Oh, that was
any house party. Any house party.
I was invited to a lot of house parties too.
I threw it for sure.
I was invited to a lot of house parties. So okay.
That was me.
So there you go. That's how.
So,
Like, cause I know Joe.
Thank
I know
you
all
guys.
Devin, you know Devin?
these- Of course.
How do you know Devin? Devin is like one of my close friends
I don't know.
from
Like, we
college.
just
He
know
helped me
each
throw the party.
other. I know a lot of Greek.
I use his connects.
I know a lot of Greek people. I know a lot of black people.
We threw parties for the Greeks.
That's
So,
why.
That's why.
I know a
Yeah.
lot
We
of
threw, every Greek party, we were pretty much behind them. When I say we, I mean me and my cousin. My cousin is the DJ. I'm literally just the personality. Like,
I know a lot of black people.
Oh, you're the hype man.
I was just a hype
Hype man?
But I was like really
That's
good
an
at
important job.
it. It
though.
is.
That's like almost like the
Then
most
what started happening
important
with me is
job.
when
I'm
I
the
got
master
older,
of ceremonies.
I always knew where parties were, so be like, Amber, what are you doing? And then I just started throwing parties everywhere.
You
So
were
I was
probably
there
at
this,
every party.
That's the
when I was
part
younger. When I was younger. And then I
Yeah.
started just throwing parties, but like not like the way people promote. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna have something here.
And then it would turn into something.
Yeah.
That was college, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it Drexel and UPenn? You know, 'cause I thought it's primarily Drexel. You know all my friends. This is great.
This is so good. We're having such good conversation. We're in such good company.
And I felt
Good
so
cocktails,
comfortable.
good company. Should show you guys the balcony a little bit later on. But yeah, go ahead and listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire. And we're going to be back for the second half of our show. Well, not our show, but my friend Amber's show.
Here, this way. Telling the story again.
What? About the Uber driver?
I'm
I'm
scared.
like, I'm not going to tell them what we were doing and why
Scarred
we
for
couldn't.
life. I was like, my friend. She almost died. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. We're back from the second half of the show.
Don't film me. So much to talk about. Yes, ma'am. So
Let's keep
we
it
were
going.
talking about economics, but now I think we should probably switch because it's later, so we can switch more to like
A romantic
The
tone.
romantic
Something a little bit
tone.
sexy.
something a little sexy. You know what I'm
A little bit
saying?
hot.
So Sharon,
Yeah.
take it away.
Well, I think, I'm a little biased actually. And I always say this because I am a lot of people don't know this about me, but I'm a traditionalist in a lot of senses. So currently I am in an exclusively committed relationship with my boyfriend, who I love dearly and loves me dearly. We've been in a relationship for 4 years, but prior to that, we were friends. This is way back when like AOL had like instant messenger. So we met through. I know. Don't age me on the show, Mimi.
Oh my god.
So when AOL had like instant messenger in the chat rooms, and it was like the screen. So what ended up happening is that we ended up getting connected through AOL Instant Messenger. And through AOL Instant Messenger, like, we stayed in communication, we stayed in contact, and we got, like, closer through that. So I was in undergraduate school. He was in undergraduate school. Well, no, he was in law school. So he was in law school in North Carolina because he went to an HBCU. And I was in college here up in Philadelphia. Well, technically in Glenside, but in Philadelphia. So we were both in college, and so there was distance in between us, but like we stayed in contact. And I think it's important to like get to know someone and then become friends with that person before you get romantically involved. So like me and my boyfriend, like before we even got romantically involved, we already had a friendship. And I feel like when you have a friendship and you develop a respect for the person that you're involved with, I think that in itself sets the precedent for how your relationship is going to go in the future. Because to be completely honest, I've had like, one night stands with dudes who I thought I could turn into my boyfriend, and they weren't boyfriend material, or guys that were emotionally unavailable. And I was trying to start a relationship with them, and that did not work out. So it really wasn't until I started focusing on myself. And this is why I always say that women should have their own thing, because it wasn't until I started focusing on like myself, my goals, and what I wanted my purpose to be, that like the universe kind of sort of opened up. Like, I'm not a strictly religious person, but I definitely believe in like the universe and fate and like in material and the metaphysical, and it opened itself up and it presented itself. So, he was from Philadelphia, and then, we would see each other when we were here on a break, and I just so happened to be at a Starbucks, which is so funny because of the Starbucks racial incident that happened.
Hashtag handcuff Holly.
Hashtag handcuff Holly.
You met Supreme.
Oh my God.
So I think, just in general, I say all that to say, and I tell that story to say that I think that it is really, really, really important for people to get to know the person they're going to be involved with and give their body to, because I feel like for me personally, giving your body is more than just physical. It's emotional, it's spiritual, it's psychological. And I feel like you need to know that person in that type of intimate way before getting into a relationship with them. You need to know if they are emotionally available. You need to know if they can fulfill your emotional needs. You need to know if they can fill your psychological needs. And it also goes back to a value system. And Amber and I talk about this all the time. Yeah. It's really all about values. And like when you set your values, okay, when you say, this is what my values are, and I'm not going to go below that. If you value loyalty, trust, and honesty, it's you as an individual that have to hold those values true to who you are. So I'm all for romantic relationships, but because of this technology and the age of social media, like everything is so quick, it's so instant. But at the end of the day, you can only really know a person through time and experience. Time and experience. You can have an experience with someone, and that experience could be like 10 years you had with a friend.
Right.
Or you can know someone for a really, really, really long time, and you can learn about them. You can learn about those habits. I think that that's the problem. People want this instant gratification and this instant satisfaction without actually putting in the long-term work.
We have a caller.
We have a caller, so let our caller call in.
What are the last four, Mimi, and are they still there?
Oh my goodness, so I'm interested here.
Hello, caller?
Oh, we've got a caller.
Hi.
How are you?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
How you doing? I'm doing well. I just caught your guys' podcast on the whim, and I just gotta say I'm quite impressed by a lot of the things that you're saying. I think you're extremely closed-minded and try to use big words to sound intelligent, but at the end of the day, you guys all sound pretty dumb.
Okay, why do you feel that way?
Just because I think that you're making generalizations about certain people, and I just personally, I'm an African American man in an interracial relationship,
Okay.
and I've never once thought about anything other than that's the person I love. It had nothing to do about money or this is my trophy or anything like that. It's just about love is love. And I think until you can just put that aside and realize that, you're going to just constantly always have just that extra grind. You guys sound completely
say something really quick, Sam.
ignorant. And it's not that I'm naive about racial issues and all that stuff, but to me, love is love. And if you can't get past that, you can use all the good words you want. You're still going to sound retarded.
Well, I totally agree with you on everything you're saying. This is Amber, one of the hosts of the show. So I don't know you personally, sir, and I don't need to.
My name is Trey.
Trey, nice to meet you this evening. Thank you so much for calling in.
Very much.
So I'm the product of two multiracial or biracial people. They are the product of two multiracial, or if you want to call biracial people. So I know through the last 3 or 4 generations of my family, it was not a result of trophies or anything like that. And so I agree with you. I do believe love is love. And I don't think that's a reflection of you personally or anything like that. I really don't. And if you feel that...
It sounded like something that was just a general...
Oh, no, we have...
Don't get me wrong.
No, I understand what you're saying.
I'm not naive. The majority of my friends are black. I'm black. My family's black. So, I mean, the conversation that you guys are having is not something I've never...
Heard before.
Or discussed. But I hear this shit all the time. But at the end of the day, I still think it's completely ignorant. And to me, it just sounds... It almost sounds like as open-minded as you want it to sound, it makes you even more closed-minded because of the generalizations that you...
So specify what you mean, because there are two realities, right? So for example, Trey, like I was engaged to a white guy. I wasn't his trophy. He wasn't my trophy. That's who I loved, right?
Ask him to specify, please.
And I just want you to specify on what points, because we're talking about things that we've seen and that we don't appreciate, but we don't think that's relevant to everyone. I mean, we didn't do a study, right? Unless you did a study that I don't know about.
And we clearly specified that this wasn't...
And we clearly specified...
Thank you, Mimi. We
Yeah,
clearly didn't specify.
I just want to say, we clearly specified, because we are educated people, that, this was based on platforms that were being espoused in mainstream. So obviously, you're not a mainstream thinker, and neither am I. So maybe we can both level here. But we have to make it clear that this is something that is espoused and seen by tens of thousands of people in minutes. At the rate of tens of thousands of people in minutes, you're getting to millions in about 2 to 3 hours. So when you think about that, that is hugely impactful. And Trey, you sound like me. Like sometimes it is annoying. It is frustrating to hear people not be open-minded when you're inundated with these mainstream ideas, and people who really are ignorant are given
these platforms. So it's not that that's the way we necessarily feel. It's more like we were repeating what was seen and kind of expressing our distaste for that kind of ignorance. And that's not fair, and that's not why people get into interracial relationships. Because, Trey, if I had a problem with interracial relationships, I would be denying my successes, the blood that runs through my veins, the oxygen and the way my body works, and my very existence. So I don't know if you have children yet, but as the children of two multiracial or biracial people who are also the children of multiracial, biracial people, who those people are the children of multiracial, biracial people, I feel for you, but I also want to say, as I'm sensitive in being a host, I want you to be sensitive in your ideals, and I want you to know that we would never come at you incorrectly, because I wouldn't stand for it.
I appreciate that.
Okay?
I appreciate your time.
Wait, real quick, Trey, before you hang up, my man, as a black man, I want to hear what you specifically were offended by. I want to hear that.
Well, the word, people started throwing out Lionel Richie and Kanye and saying that, they basically got on and left for a white girl, like their trophy.
True.
Well,
that was true. That's all true.
Black women.
I just want to say this. I know Kanye West personally.
I mean,
And he made the announcement that Kim Kardashian was a goal.
Black women. Let. Real quick. Let him speak.
And homegirl, she backpedaled nice and proper, but I mean, y'all was talking for an hour and 15 minutes, and that wasn't the same sentiment that she was talking.
Well, it's our show. We're going to talk for the 2 hours.
When she was chiming in. But I mean, it's cool. All I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, love is love, man. Like I like all sizes, shapes, and colors, and to me, it is love. Like I mean, personally, this badass is in all shades. You feel me?
Sure, I understand what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and love is love. But do you not feel an inherent connection to your black sisters?
Me personally,
without sounding like a hotep at all, bro. Like without sounding like the least bit of a hotep. Do you not feel an inherent connection to your sisters? I'm just asking a question.
I feel an inherent connection to all black people.
Right.
But to me, I just love women in general.
Period.
I take women for just in general for what they are. Women are just sexy beings in all shades, sizes.
More than that.
To me, and to me, when I even approach women, it's not like I'm like today. My goal was never to marry or be in a relationship with a black woman. My goal was just to find love.
Right, but can you admit that there are some men, you may not be one of them, but can you admit that there are some men that do find that marrying outside or being in a relationship with a woman that is non-black is somehow a step up or somehow a goal? That may not necessarily be your experience.
Nah, if I'm going to be completely honest, the only time I hear black men refer to race and be in a relationship is when they're gung-ho that they have to be in a relationship with a black woman. Because,
so your experience is different.
He's being intellectually
That's
dishonest.
fine. So that your experience is different. So Trey, your experience is different. And you know what? That I can appreciate that your experience is different. And that's why you're probably triggered. But I'm letting you know on the mainstream that, and if you listened earlier, because you said you were listening for an hour and 15.
This is about black love.
This is about black love, too.
Bro. Like, I feel exactly what you're saying. I dig it. But this ain't for you. This ain't for you. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, exactly the disclaimer she gave in the beginning, where she was like, this is for, we talking about black love. See, this ain't for you, bro. Like, I understand where you're coming from. I actually respect it. But this is about black love. We talking about black men and black women in love. That's what we talking about.
And you're a black man in love.
And you're a black man in love.
Okay.
And we respect that, bro. And I'm with that. And I want you to know that as a black man, as a fellow black man, I respect where you come from when it comes to love being love. But guess what? This ain't for you. And this is the exact call that she wanted to avoid when she gave that disclaimer, when she was like, yo, guess what? We not talking to y'all that's in the relationship, interracial. Thank you for finding a word for me. Interracial relationships. We're not talking to you. We're not talking to our white counterparts. We're not talking to them. We're talking about the black men and women in love.
And
That's
you
what
can listen, and that doesn't mean you're any less. We have shows where we address you directly. It's just this, not that show. And I said this because there are trigger warnings, and I hate trigger warnings, but I feel like everybody deserves them and deserves that respect. And Trey, what I respect is your experience. And so if your experience is in fact factual,
we're not here to
like, I'm not
to bash black women,
you.
man. We're not here to bash black women. But guess what?
And black
women holding black men accountable is not bashing black men. That's not like black men. Back off for a second, man. You're not being attacked by black women. You're just being held accountable, dog. Like, and guess what? I'm here to tell you, like, yo, we here to help bring that along. We here to bring that feeling along. We're not, because black men aren't in the business of attacking black men either. No. We're not in that business, bro. We uplift each other. Real shit. So.
Nice now, but
I'm always
nice.
I'm never nice.
No, fuck nice.
So Trey,
not about nice.
So Trey, now I'm gonna have to step in because now I'm gonna step in. So what I'm gonna say to you, Trey, is this: you sound unexposed. You need to calm down because now you don't sound exposed, and I have been very nice, and I told you what my experience was, and I was respectful of your experience. And now you're disrespecting. And I haven't called you a name. And I haven't characterized you, Trey, because I don't know your experience. But if you want me to characterize you, I will. Do you want me to characterize you? Because I'm going to characterize you now.
I try so hard not to bring him down, man.
It's fine.
I'm trying so hard not to bring him down.
It's fine. I'm already
he's about to get dragged.
And I'm trying to respect him in a racial relationship.
So, Trey,
I'm trying to respect the shit.
I'm going to characterize you. What I know to be true about you, if what you said is true and if you're not lying, is that you're underexposed. What I know to be true about you, if you weren't lying about what you said in the only scenarios that you've heard of black men speak with race, which is impossible if you have even network television because of mainstream media and how it works, is that they only talk about black women and the importance of black women. So you know what, Trey? Unless you don't have a computer, which I know you do because you're listening to this radio show, unless you don't have any sort of TV with an antenna, and it's all digital TVs now, which I know you do because you're able to make pop culture references, and unless you've never seen cable news, television, or any nationally or internationally broadcasted show, and you want to sit here and lie on my show, I can't have a conversation with you if you're lying to me. The only truth you may have told me, I just told you what you lied about.
Intellectual dishonesty.
And my producer is going to disconnect you because guess what I don't do? I don't talk to liars. Black, can you take care of that? I don't talk to liars.
Treyway. He leads with Treyway?
Right.
Come on, man.
Right. That was totally a plug.
That's what we dealing with.
That was totally a plug.
I'm not here to pander, man. I'm not here to pander.
That was total. First of all, I just want to say,
If he wants to show that's for him, he can go back into our show. We did do a podcast on interracial relationships.
Yes, we do. And Treyway. Exactly. And Trey, get your own fucking podcast. Get it.
well, I just want to say, I just want everyone to note. I just want everyone to note how he felt the need to call in. You know, we talked, the title of this show.
Treyway means you don't listen. Move on. Sharon, don't address it.
No, because I want to make it clear for the audience that this is what we're talking about. When, and one of my girlfriends, one of my sisters said it the other day, is that hit dogs holler. Obviously, he felt like obtaining a non-black woman was some sort of status symbol for him because he felt the need to call in to justify his position.
I'm in an interracial relationship.
Right. When we didn't make any generalization.
What are you trying to prove? You didn't even have to tell us you were in an interracial relationship.
On a stance that we did not even take, and then called us ignorant. You know, that was, you showed your.
And that's why I said, do you want me to characterize you? Like.
And this one has a pedigree, so ignorance, like, and she's like, you know, Republican and all.
I've been really nice. So
she's an amazing person.
Guys, if you
like, she's
know
an
what
amazing
Amber
person.
doesn't like, you know, want to know the shit I don't like? I don't like liars.
Right.
And so when somebody, and why I don't like liars, because it's a weak attempt. Lying is the most base way you can try and insult somebody's intelligence.
Basic.
And so if you try and get base with me and basic with me, and Trey is not, you know what? I'm a Republican. No First Amendment. Fuck Trey. Trey's not.
Well, no, Trey felt the need as a black man.
Because Trey needs to go watch television, and if he's going to talk on something that's on these airwaves that are actually, you know, monitored by the FCC, he should become familiar with mainstream media or not lie to me on the show.
Well,
with my
he
host.
felt the need.
So bye.
Trey felt the need to come on
3,
this
2,
show about the black community and how we can engage each other both romantically. I'm not going to show you what the dogs are doing right now, but they're doing the damn thing.
They're done.
But yes, it's an interracial thing.
It's an interracial relationship. I told you my entire house is interracial. I'm a product of interracial. Trey, like, I'm just so annoyed because you lied, and now I'm not annoyed because I have a good. And I have a beverage. I'm drinking my wine. Like, I make too much money to be annoyed, but I just don't like liars. And maybe it's the Sicilian in me, but like, Omerta, if I like came and found you,
it's the morality in you. You're a bioethicist, so it's the ethics, it's the values that are kicking in.
Feel the way you feel, like, and say the experience you say, but because you're actually able to reach our show, like, you could do the same Google. And you said we've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes, so that means you were listening or you weren't, and you just saw the timestamp on the show. Like, stop playing. Like, just stop it. I don't
intellectual dishonesty.
Like, I don't appreciate that.
Intellectual dishonesty. I'm calling foul.
Maybe it's Ivy League shit. Maybe it's private school my whole life shit. I don't know.
Catch
but
it.
like,
Real quick.
You catching her shade? Are you catching her shade?
Real quick. real quick though. I want to say something though. Real quick, as black men, like, I've tried so hard not to bash that black man because he proclaimed that he was a black man in an interracial relationship. Now, real shit though. Black men have a particular cognitive dissonance when it comes. When it comes to black women, black men have a particular cognitive dissonance because the same parallel applies to how white people deal with black people. Well, black men deal with black women the same way that white people deal with black people. We treat black women the same way. So we have a particular cognitive dissonance when it comes to how we view black women, how we treat them, and for my man to call in and to like really like have something trigger him that way. That's all I'm saying. Like, bro, you weren't, as Amber was saying, like, you weren't listening. Amber Ashley was saying you weren't listening. You were just you just pinpoint. You just timestamped us. You didn't listen. You didn't listen to anything these ladies said. And a lot of times, man, we don't listen to what black women say. Like, actually listen to what they're saying. Because when you listen, you're like, yo, you start to add shit up. You actually start to add shit up. Like, listen. I'm gonna tell you, black women, you've seen me post this. This is a little hint. Like, black women have actually, like, my friends have seen me post this. Like, men mature at a later age than women do, period. And this isn't a race thing. It's just men mature at a different age than women do.
That's biological.
It's biological. It's puberty, and it's also mentally, right? So physically, we obviously mature later than you. Mentally, we do as well. In our 20s, men are fucking stupid, right? And so we don't understand the concept of feelings, and we ruin ladies' feelings. So we've scarred you your entire 20s. So when 30s roll around, women are like, feelings? Ha! You fucked my feelings over for my entire 20s. Men are just figuring feelings out.
Come on, Les! Preach.
And we're at this obvious disconnect, right? And so we're at this obvious disconnect at 30 years old. So right. So by the time we hit 40, like maybe we're coming around. And I need women to understand that, like, give men time, just a little bit of time. We're gonna come around. We get it. You have to understand us a little bit, and that we mature a little slower than you do.
That cerebral cortex is a little slow
That's
because
all.
with all human beings, the cerebral cortex, the logic
That's
and reasoning
all,
part
man.
of your brain, the part that's in the front, that's only fully developed when you're like 25 years old. So really, we shouldn't really be getting into relationships or making any major decisions into our cerebral cortex that's fully developed. And that's
Absolutely.
not until 25 years old.
I can't speak.
You know, unless you're like, completely exceptional. But I think that Les does definitely have a point. Like, when you're younger, you do things out of impulse.
Yes.
When you grow older, when you mature, when you have more experience, you are supposed to learn from those experiences. And I think what he's trying to instill is learn from those experiences. We all are going to have to go through those experiences because
Yeah, it's not a one and done.
Right, because we're
It's never
growing
one and
because
done.
we're growing adults and we're developing and we're learning how to connect with individuals and we're learning how to connect with ourselves. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we're in alignment with ourselves and we're in alignment with others. And we also have to take biology into account because if you're a human being, if you're Homo sapien or Homo sapien, okay, your cerebral cortex is not fully developed until you're 25. So maybe we should not be in relationships until we're like, 27, 28. Maybe we shouldn't be marrying at 19 and 18. I'm just putting that out there. That's just the thought.
We should be marrying at like 35.
Black parents, you should.
You know what? I heard that. I heard Francis Cress Walsing.
We should be marrying.
You
at
guys,
35. And
if you haven't
women
heard of-
should be dating men who are younger because of when they reach their sexual peaks. Women reach their sexual peak when you're a little older.
I got a younger boyfriend.
And guys,
I'm just saying.
younger, more girl.
Oh.
And it's true. But that's all I'm gonna say.
So, yeah, I think, having, really knowing yourself, knowing the biology of a human being, and knowing that your cerebral cortex is not fully developed until you're of a certain age, I think that society really pushes relationships, particularly on women. I think
Because
it's
it was
unfair.
the economy. You needed to have more kids to get more farm work
Yeah,
done. It's not like that
I
anymore.
totally get that, but my experience from being a single woman and my experience to being in an exclusive committed relationship is very different because as a single woman, I'm treated a certain type of way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, society only sees a woman as valid if she
she's in
has
a
women,
relationship.
right? If she's
Or
in a
if
relationship,
or if she
Or
has
if
her
she's-
reproductive
exactly,
organs intact,
exactly.
and if she's viable.
exactly. That's the only time that she's really
But
valid.
that's a taxpayer. That's a future taxpayer. in your
Exactly.
boo-boo.
Well, exactly. So when it really boils down, it goes back to capitalism. It goes back to the type of society that we're into. It goes back to all of those things, and I think that Les mentioned a lot of those points earlier. That when we are talking about relationships, we have to really be talking about. I can only talk from my personal experience. It was more about having the emotional stability, having someone who was emotionally available and could be there for me, and having someone who was, who could be there for me psychologically and who could also be there for me physically.
So relationships, since we're talking about them, because it's the second half hour and we're done with the ignorance. Like, Mimi, do you think this is a good question? What do you look for in a partner? Like, what do you think is your ideal? Like, if you had children, not even you, because this isn't a dating service, but if you were to have your children or their friends, like a younger generation, what would you hope their partner has and possesses to give them, and what would you hope that they give their partner?
Good question. Maybe.
And I do think that we need to listen to the answers to these questions to see if they're realistic. Are they attainable? Are they too low? Are we not setting our standards high enough? And so go ahead, love.
You go first.
They love your. Listen, okay, we're doing the Facebook Live, Mimi. As I told you, the audience is loving the black man over here. They are loving Les.
Appreciate that.
He's going to get an influx of followers on social media.
I'll give it again. A Tribe Called Les on Instagram or Les Dow on Facebook. Look me up. Nah, but
Don't be nasty, bitches.
Mimi,
That's
Mimi.
my second ex-husband. Stay off.
Mimi, please repeat what you just said. I'm sorry. Please repeat what you just said.
No, I was saying, and we need to listen to these qualities
answers
that we're looking for in each other and gauge whether or not are we looking for enough? Are we looking for too much? Is what we're looking for attainable?
Yeah.
Are we looking at certain qualities that we should be grasping onto while grasping onto shit that doesn't matter?
And I think the most.
Let's talk about it.
I think the most important thing about this whole thing is that you're wondering, at the same time you're wondering what is important, like what you want to hear from us. We're wondering at the same time what you want to hear from us. So I think what's most important is we have to understand that our insecurities really drive what we're talking about. Like our insecurities really drive what we're talking about. So like at the end of the day, like you're very interested in what we have to say and we're very interested in what you have to say. So automatically the theme of this thing has been practice a little humility, man. Just bring yourself down a little bit and understand that, you know, there's another party involved. And I try to put myself in their shoes. And that's all we try to practice as black men. That's all we try to practice. That's all we're trying to practice these days is, and that's how I hold my bros accountable, is put yourself in her shoes and really, like, you know, understand that, yo, like, we're trying to reach a higher plane. We're trying to reach a higher level. How do we get there?
By treating other people how we want to be treated. By giving other people the respect that we would like.
So
wait,
equity, not
real quick,
equality.
real quick.
Learning how somebody wants to be treated rather than treating them how you want to be treated.
Real
Equity,
quick.
not equality, guys.
Real
Oh my God,
quick.
platinum rules.
I was talking, shout out to my homie Nakia on Facebook.
Nakia.
Listen, yeah, hi. Listen, we were talking earlier, and she pointed out something so key. Like, women nowadays, and I alluded to it earlier, like, in their 30s, they get into this mentality of, if you can't beat it, join them. Sort of thing. You know what I mean? And it's damaging because as black men, we're just figuring out that that's a toxic mentality, right? We're figuring out that the male mentality that has existed over basically the expansion of man has been toxic. Like, we're figuring that shit out. Like, all right, this idea of
Toxic masculinity we talk about it all the time.
This idea of toxic masculinity is in religion, it's in everything, right? It's in everything, but it's toxic as fuck. So we're realizing that shit. But what's more scary is that women are adopting this mentality and claiming it as independence, but really it's just you're latching yourself onto something that men should have been ashamed of all along.
Like leaving a woman and her kids after he's impregnated her. Okay?
So this
Be
can't beat it.
sensible.
This can't beat it. Join the mentality is toxic in itself. So
And it
we have
reinforces
to back
bad
off
things.
Back off that. Like, shout out to Nakia. She put me on to this, and I was like, yo, you're so fucking right. Like, this is why I value female opinion on a platonic level. We have to really get past this shit, this over-sexualization
Thank you.
of the black community. We have to really value female companionship on a platonic level because they can put you onto some shit that you're not really privy to. And guess what? Vice versa.
She can put
Vice
you
versa,
on.
we do the same thing for ourselves. And this is where they've over-sexualized the shit out of us, right? So we're either fucking
Fucking or fighting.
fucking or fighting.
And that's the theme we came to.
That's
right?
on Google.
That's,
Okay,
That's
so-
it's on Google. If you Google the shit, we're either fucking or we're fighting.
Les did it
Get past
while I
that
was
shit.
talking about it. He's like, "Oh my
listen,
God."
I Googled this shit as she was talking about
It's
it.
true.
It was fucking amazing.
It's true. It's
fucking
true.
amazing.
And I was dead serious.
It blew my mind.
wasn't
It blew my mind because we are either fucking or we're fighting, and that's by someone else's standard. Someone else wrote that about us, and we are living to that standard.
And published
That's
it over
scary.
and over
That's
and
fucking
over
scary.
again.
That's
So you-
scary though.
So, this is going to be a little controversial, and I want to know Les's opinion. Do you
Sure.
think that black men, because Ken left a comment, and Ken said, is toxic masculinity or white male masculinity? So I want to just expound on
it
that
the
a little
same?
bit. Is it the same?
No.
But what I want to ask about that is, because I listen to
Male
a lot of
masculinity is lethal.
YouTubers, a lot of YouTube commentary